All right, welcome back, the Bounty Hunters. What are we here to talk about today, Canadian?
The second last episode of Ahsoka, episode 7.
Second to last episode of Ahsoka. Yeah, seems weird. I hope the last episode is gonna be 4 hours long because I'm a little confused how that could be the last episode, but we'll get into that. Oh, nothing new. So the first part of this will be spoiler free. If you're watching this on episode 7, I'm not really sure if you are caring about spoilers still, but I'm still gonna do what I can not spoil stuff for you.
Yeah.
So the first part is let's talk about overall. What did you think about the episode without spoiling it?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fine episode. It's basically we had such a high pedigree of the last episodes being all so great. This one just, even though it's a fine episode, it does feel way less because of all the other ones you just had. And obviously leading into the finale, it definitely gives it a different kind of feeling. But I enjoyed what I saw. The fighting was good. Makes me excited for what's coming next. And there's not much we could talk about without spoilers.
What did you give it the score wise?
Score wise, probably like if 5 again is average in my mind, not like bad, like average, probably like a 6.5.
Oh, that's super weird because I thought I was going to be way off. And that's what I was going to give it, a 6.5. Like,
yeah. Right on the money.
Yeah. Somewhere around that. I was thinking 6.5 as well. My thing with this would be there's nothing wrong with this episode, but my theme, if there was a theme for this episode, is what's the point? That would be the theme. It's like I don't know what the point of a lot of the stuff was. I feel like they wanted to go somewhere with some of these stories they were talking about, and they, for lack of time, realizing that this is only going to be 6 episodes, maybe originally it was going to be 9 or something. Something got cut off.
8 episodes in total.
Yeah, seems kind of weird. So we'll get into it. Doesn't mean it's a bad one. It's just that the last 2, maybe that's even what hurt it. Maybe if this was classic Disney, we didn't have the last 2 episodes, maybe this one would have actually rose up a little bit. But maybe this is because the ones before this were so good. This one just seemed kind of like. And also, if this was the 4th to last episode or the 3rd to last, I don't think I'd be as harsh. But considering how this is the episode
leading into the finale.
Yeah, get you super excited for the finale. It makes me kind of like, a little bit of, All right, so you're knowing this spoiler alert. You're going to see it right now. So we're here, episode 7. I didn't write down the name of it. I normally do. What was the name of this episode?
Bones? It was a mouthful, actually. This one. It was.
That's what he said. It's the land of stories and
the land. It's a weird, I
don't remember it. You can look it up for me while we do it.
Dreams and Madness.
There you go. Just like I'll say this. Nothing was really added in my opinion. It was weird. The second to last episode, I think, is why I'm a little bit harsher on this one than I probably would be. But it opens on Coruscant, which is always a good thing to do.
I have one complaint about this episode, and it is this sadly.
You don't normally complain about anything about Coruscant.
But because
it was during the day and you like the nightlife of Coruscant. Is that the problem here?
Well, no, I was just like, okay, the idea of Hera being court-martialed and having to go to basically there and explain her case. I'm like, that's really interesting. That's a lot of stuff that could happen and a lot of interesting characters there and plays. And it just felt like they ran out of budget for that part.
Yeah, okay, very good.
Like they had okay, let's just get what costumes do we have in the back still? Okay, who can we fit on the crew right now to put in the scene? Because there was barely, it was a small room. Really went in there, and there was only the ones you had in the hologram, the same senators, Mothma, and then Carson, the pilot. There was no Zeb. There was no Zeb coming for her court martialing apparently, or for someone or anyone else to show up and watch.
Yeah, I thought that you were mainly upset about the way that Coruscant looked, because absolutely. This was the main issue I had with the episode, was this little beginning part, because you have a hero of the rebellion who is not really doing anything necessarily wrong. The worst she can come up with is, I guess she didn't follow orders, and
a direct order of
maybe she was spending money or something. I'm not really sure what the problem was. They didn't really have.
Well, she didn't leave a couple guys dying.
So the thing that I would say is, to give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, what I will say this is the room they were in was small. It wasn't public for somebody as famous as I'm sure she has become. So they were clearly seemed like they were going to railroad her. They're going to keep it quiet. They were going to court martial her without no one knowing, doing it fast, quick, and dirty. So I will say that's part of something that could build to later. The fact that that guy, who I guess is the father of the guy from a cartoon that literally no one watched, including the
From
person who made
Resistance, the one that no one wanted to care about.
the one that I didn't even watch, which is saying something. He was kind of like the dad of the character in that. He is so over the top aggressive that I'm assuming they might character build on him later because it just seemed like it was too much.
Yeah.
That apparently, from what I could tell, was Admiral Akbar. Like I can't see that how it wouldn't be Admiral Akbar. He had his honors, he had his same markings, he had same everything. So I don't know if it was, but it looked like him. If it was, why wasn't he saying anything? Because he doesn't usually not talk. So if that was him, that's even weirder.
Yeah.
Mon Mothma in every other book and stuff was pretty powerful. And she seems like she's like, well, I just whatever you guys think. Like she doesn't seem to be like, hey, shut up.
Taking
like,
a back seat. Yeah, she's not. Yeah.
This seems kind of weird. And the only other thing I can come up with as to why they did this is they wanted to show Leia and they wanted to show how she's already using up most of her allies and most of her goodwills against this because we know in the books coming up Bloodline that she's basically stripped of all her
Everything.
fame, all of her glory when it comes out who her dad is. So maybe they're also setting that book up and showing that she's already kind of using up her favors, as it were. Because when they said her name, that dude shut down pretty quick. And that was weird because they didn't show why he shut down quick. Because the one to his right is actually the powerful person here and who's not really saying anything to him. And then Princess Leia says something. He's like, well, crap, I can't say anything about that. So it's just kind of a weird, like, I love that Princess Leia is that powerful, but it just seemed kind of weird that, like, it was like, I thought she'd be stripped of her title and then get it back when Thrawn returns. Yeah, I thought that would have actually made more sense to me, even though he's not going to return because there's no way he can come to this galaxy. But I'm in the minority here.
It's happening. It's happening. You can't ignore it.
Disney's going to do it, but you can't tell me it makes sense. Why has no one ever spoke of Thrawn if he's coming and is going to be worth anything, if he's going to be important? But so
I know I mentioned the Jedi that existed like 19 years before New Hope, and everyone's like, they don't exist. These are myths and tales.
I did see something funny on the internet though. Whenever he says, "Oh," and I will say, I have never in my life, okay, I have always been annoyed by C3PO, even since I was a kid. I didn't even watch Star Wars as a kid. I've always been annoyed by C3PO. I've always been rolling my eyes at C3PO. When he came around that corner, dude, I was like, oh my God, C3PO. Like, I was actually excited to see him. I don't know what it is. I don't know because it's Star Wars is like, I haven't seen him in a while. And this is like so Star Wars that he came around the corner. I thought it was pretty cool. Then that's when I realized this is how they're going to get her. Unfortunately, they're going to get around the Carrie Fisher situation because
I thought what they might have did was a recording. Like they would have had like a hologram recording. But that's pretty funny. And everyone took C3PO seriously. Actually, the joke was, they said to me like, are we gonna take this droid seriously, this whole thing? And Chopper's like, oh, listen here, I'm gonna hop over this bench right now and strangle you.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember reading it. I was reading a thing and I was reading some comments and people are like, literally, he just tried to irritate a serial killing mass murderer. Does he know what he's doing by getting on Chopper's bad side like that? And I thought that was funny because like everyone just knows that Chopper's some kind of maniac who's murdered like thousands of people, and he's like ready to come over the thing and go.
Now that we're done with the trial against Hera, we are going to move on to Chopper. Will he be executed for his war crimes on the spot?
Yeah. So I did write down here. It seems strange that such an important person was put on trial with no press. There's no cameras in the room. No one even seems to know she's there. I thought that was weird, which that might be part of the character building there. And the other issue I have is every time Disney Plus, and I know it's on purpose, and I don't know any Disney Plus, it seems like this is the way they want to go, powers that be, shows a New Republic. They cannot be this inept. They cannot be this dumb. Like they're just so not able. And I know they're like rebel, but a lot of the people who are in charge of the New Republic were senators beforehand. So they have knowledge of how to run things, and they just don't seem to know how to run things. Like in our history as humans, not that these people are Earth humans, but they look like us, so we're going to call them humans. When a rebel faction or a smaller group takes over and they end somebody, especially somebody as kind of vilified as them. They go through everything to make sure they stamp them out. They don't leave them behind. When we
Yep.
were up to the Nazis, we did all this.
The Soviets take erasing people from history.
Yeah, and the fact that this soon afterwards, like they just found out that an entire scrapyard was full of Imperials. They're finding Imperials are everywhere. And the fact there's so many people are like, why are you bringing up Imperials? Like they don't even exist anymore. What is going on? Like they're so like nonchalant about it. It seems weird. Like if I was a senator there and that guy kept saying there's no such thing as Imperials anymore, I would immediately go to my nearest like Secret Service guy. Go, we need to start an investigation on old homeboy over here because he will not let us even talk about Imperials. He's got
really. They're gonna McCarthy him. They're gonna McCarthy him.
Yes, I would.
You an Imperial?
Like, we're gonna stop out the communists today. We're gonna stop out the communists tomorrow. Like I would totally go all out on that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I really have to say about that part. I thought it was weird. I feel like in the future maybe they can build on it. But it just seemed like that was one of the things I was talking about where it seemed like it was supposed to go somewhere. They are not going to go that way. And so they just kind of ended it really fast. Because at the end of the day, what was the point of us even showing that? Because nothing happened. Nothing important happened. And so unless you're doing long-term, way down the future character building, it seems like it wasn't even needed to be seen. Like I don't
It's a weird one. Yeah. That one basically for me only.
I feel like you could have had Leia just contact her and go, hey, don't worry about it. I cleaned it up. You owe me one. And that would have been the end of it. Like you could have done that. Would have been the same thing. All right. So next up, we have they're trying to go for the feels. They're trying to hit you in your feel spot. We see Ahsoka training
with the hologram.
With a hologram walking around old Anakin. They trying to hit you in them feels. And she's training with them.
And same data discs that there was in Rebels of
I would say
Anakin.
We talked about this, me and her, the other day. I would say this whole episode to me. It's very much Rebels, except for at the end, we can't get everybody back on the ship and hugging again. Like we can't get that part of Rebels where like something weird happened. They're all separated and they all get to come back at the end because it's like obviously live action. So yes, I mean, we know who's making it. So yes, it's going to be part of the growing pains, I would think. But yes, so she is training. Very cool. I thought it was very awesome. She's clearly made a super 180 turn about Anakin. And now she's like, oh, he was a great master. So like her little time, but the world's in between.
Yeah. Well, it's her disconnecting the two parts of him, right? Like, oh yeah, he was a great master. He war criminal, great master.
He murdered everybody I've ever known, but
he slaughtered younglings. But when he did, he taught them pretty good.
I mean, if you can be friends with Chopper, can't you be friends with Anakin? Probably, like they kind of go hand in hand. You could probably just say it's justify the means or something. So she said there was 20 plus of these videos that she's been watching over the years, and so I've said this before in that book that I've always talked about. It was like what happens before the movie that will not be named came out, and where they turned my man Finn into one of the greatest soldiers the First Order's ever had, into a damn janitor. I'll never forgive Disney for that. One thing I think that could have helped was in that book, they talk about that all Rey, I'll say her name, I don't like saying it, all Rey did was basically come home and get into simulators. And she fought simulators every day. She flew in a simulator and all the different ships. So in the movie, one of the people used to complain about it, she can jump from ship to ship and knows how to fly it. Well, they didn't explain it because in the book beforehand, she spent her whole life every night going in a simulator. And I would say, I feel like this might be leading up to that. Like Ahsoka is going to go Omega power here and get really fired up. And I think they're going to show, well, maybe she's going to get even more powerful than we think she has shown to this point, because now we see that she's been training with Anakin with all this time. And it's going to explain some things possibly. I kind of feel like that's what this was a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you think about that scene?
It was good. I like the lines. He looked good still, just as before. I was waiting for Hu Yang to make a mention when he walked in the room, but he just kind of stood there quietly. But it was cool. Yeah, it was just good scene. Makes sense. Show us her training so we know why she's getting better. As you know, storytelling is.
Yeah, I would say it was good. And I say less is more. Like they youth them up, but they didn't make him look weird. Like they just
just enough,
a little
just
bit of wrinkles out. Like that's fantastic. Like do that. Like we don't need it to be smooth and weird. We don't need to be a Instagram filter or anything.
I mean, hey, still looks better than how he looked in Rebels. Still looks.
He does look really weird in Rebels. So yeah, they decide they had a little funny moment. So they go back to the cockpit and they're flying. They had a little funny moment where she's like in this totally different headspace now, where she's like, "Hey, we'll probably be exactly where we need to be." And the guy who's he's still in the show. We have our big fella with the orange lightsaber, and we have this damn droid who is stealing the show. This guy is becoming one of my favorite droids of all time. And he turns around and was like, no, it's not a good chance. It's illogically impossible that they're getting us to the exact point we need to be in.
It's like, are they even on the? Are we on the same planet, same sector, same this? Are
Or
we
even
even
the same galaxy.
where on the planet are they? It's a planet. It could be anywhere. So funny to me.
I thought that was pretty good. They had a little comedic
Yeah.
moment there.
I did like when they exited when the whales exited hyperspace and the reveal of what Thrawn's idea was.
The famous Thrawn minefield.
Ah, so good. That was great to see.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, I bet you User likes the Thrawn minefield situation there.
That was great. The made a lot of sense. And what was I gonna say? I love this. As soon as the Star Whales hit a couple, they're like, "We're out," and they leave.
Yeah,
and as soon as they leave, I go, when they left, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, they're screwed. They have to leave with Thrawn, otherwise they're really, really done for. Unless something else happens, which we'll talk about afterwards. What I think might happen."
Yeah, I thought it was weird and I liked it, right? Because I thought they were gonna do something weird where we're gonna have this. And Voodoo Lily down there said that she had a better not moment whenever they came out of hyperspace and the whales are setting off all the landmine or the mines. I mean, and I thought they were going to do some kind of emotional. They're all exploding around them and they're just ignoring it and they're taking it and like allowing themselves to be blown up. And I'm glad they still had that moment that like every actual animal would do. Like I don't mind helping you, but as soon as they started shooting me with paintballs, I'm out. Like and they started piecing out. Like I'm glad they did that.
Yeah.
And then so she had to fly through the landmines. The only thing I would say about that is like I would appreciate if at some point when the show started that they mentioned that through Anakin's tutelage or whatever that she became an amazing pilot because they never mentioned her piloting. And the fact that Thrawn's mining is a pretty famous thing, and the fact that she just kind of like slaloming it like a Porsche through cones and she was able to get around it was kind of weird a little bit, but it was fine. Like it was okay.
Mhm.
But yeah. So then she's having to go around all these mines to get to Earth, and then we find out that Thrawn is watching the whole thing and deducing what to do next. And then the part that bothers me the most happens. So I'll just let you take over for this second while I gather my anger.
Is it about Ezra or is it about the?
When they're revealing who she is and her past is the part that irritates me.
Oh yeah. So then Thrawn gets a data pad that explains who Ahsoka is. He looks at it for a minute, kind of makes a face that everyone thinks is fear, and he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then he figures his whole plan out. Now, personally, obviously, was the weird part we talked about where Anakin's a very famous Jedi, and having an apprentice throughout almost the entirety of the Clone Wars would be all the videos and other stuff too would be pretty famous.
And she was also famous, being also that she got put on trial later for bombing
terrorism.
So that was on the TV, so that should have been known.
So the thing is, yeah, he would have known. I think it was just a matter of him being like, okay, who's this Jedi gonna be? Is it gonna be someone I know? I'm gonna be able to predict their moves. And him seeing Anakin's apprentice gave him a sigh of relief, going, well, she's unpredictable because of him, but I know who her master is. I know how he works. Therefore, she would work in the same patterns. Possibly, and she does.
A hard time believing that he would have heard that those two were together.
Yes, like, very,
almost impossible. But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, very Thrawn-like, amazingly Thrawn-like, definitely Rebel Thrawn-like, where he's kind of moving and going at the same time. He sends troopers in. When he figures out who's she out, he's like, pull out. Like we don't need.
Yeah, he's like, pull the fighters out, and it's like, why? And he's like, no need to waste the troops.
And I will say that throughout this episode, that was something that remained constant. I just need what I need, and I don't mind losing a few troops, but I don't need to waste the troops. So if I can just like push them away or move them somewhere else, that's fine, because that's not what the goal is. And he said it several times. The goal is to get out of here. The goal is not to trap anybody, catch anybody, kill anybody.
Killing them is just a happy byproduct. It's not the primary goal.
And Thrawn is not opposed to losing terribly if he knows that if he believes the outcome is for him to win later. Like he has no
Yeah,
problem.
he's a very much a very long term player opposed to
He's a
short
slow
term.
player. He's a slow burn.
Slow burner.
So
But
the
yeah,
Nicola part that I thought was pretty cool. I don't know how the science of it works, but I thought it was pretty cool. He asked for the witch. Every time they bring those witches in, they're creepier than the last time. Like they're doing a good job with those damn witches. They are getting creepier and creepier every time they come on there. And he says, I need your help. And they were like, yes, my lord, or whatever, which I thought was interesting. Like they were like immediately willing to help. And they pulled out this triangulation system where they can figure out who she was.
The Bermuda Triangle of the
The other thing is like I don't mind how they did it, but whenever she's like, okay, I need to find her, so I'm going to go into the the force and go into my isolation chamber, float in the chamber of isolation. That's what it kind of sounded like, and I'm going to reach out to her. I'm not gonna say I had an issue with it, but she's not a Jedi. She doesn't seem to have a lot of force. And I would have not minded it if Ahsoka was the one that found her, saw her, and then she had no idea that Ahsoka was like calling her name. Like I would have rather that, or maybe she thought she heard something, but was kind of like, I don't know. But the fact that she was like, oh, I heard her and I see her, it's a little bothersome. Like that's a little.
I think it's fine I think that's fine for me, especially because it's that way around. It's Ahsoka contacting Sabine, just like how we had Leia contacting Luke in Empire Strikes Back.
How dare you compare the two? We're talking about Skywalkers here, not some Mandalorian who doesn't have any power whatsoever. And then Ahsoka. We're talking about the line of all lines coming together and twins to boot. You know, there's some kind of weird twin magic going on there too. Like I said, I was okay. I thought they were going to go somewhere. They kind of pulled it back and just said, Ahsoka, I see her. I see what she's doing. I see that. Don't you put no power yet. There'll be no power, ... and then get rid of the yet. She is a Mandalorian and she needs to stay that way. I don't need some kind of like feel good story. But anyway, so that was fine.
Apparently it wasn't fine because he disappeared. It was fine. He was very happy that happened, and he's really excited for Sabine to become a Jedi and learn how to use the Force.
I gotta get rid of that freaking button.
Yeah, so what happened there?
I gotta get rid of that freaking button. I swear to God.
I was just saying how you can't wait to see Sabine move a Star Destroyer with her Force abilities.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
I just really like Sabine's character. I thought she was a badass. I thought she was a cool chick who didn't take any crap from anybody and was just a Mandalorian for the sake of being a Mandalorian. And now I feel like almost Disney needs her to be more. I don't know why she needs to be more. Why can't she just be a badass Mandalorian? Like I don't need her to be more. I don't need everybody to have the power of the Force and the lightsaber like that. Like I don't need that.
I do wonder if that was a case of because the Mandalorian was bringing more and more different Mandalorians in, and they're doing a lot of focuses on them. They just wanted to make Sabine feel a little different as well because you're getting so much of them.
I don't know if Keenan thought she was more. Keenan thought she needed to control the Darksaber. I mean, I guess he thought she was more, but she just.
Keenan's like, I didn't take it on two at once. And
let's not forget, also, he wasn't even trained. He was like he was trained in the wild. He wasn't even an actual Jedi.
Oh, they had I can't remember the term, but a term came out for Jedi. I think someone mentioned it recently for Jedi that were trained.
Yeah, he said it. He said it. I remember what he called it. Yeah,
it starts with a B. I think was it Batu or
I don't know. What I'm gonna say, trained in the wild.
But yeah, so I guess we'll talk about the big one now, Ezra and Sabine.
Yeah. So I will say this: the other issue that I have, and maybe that's why it might be okay if she becomes some sort of like mixture, is I get that she's an actress, and I get we need to see her face, but the Mandalorian has taught us you don't need to see people's faces. You don't need to see them. You don't have to have their face out. And the fact that she's a Mandalorian and one of the most important parts of Mandalorian is the helmet, and that she's going into unknown situation fighting. Maybe if they had took her helmet while she was there and thrown it and then made her come, so as like taking that power away from her, maybe they did and I didn't see it. I don't remember. But the fact that in every scene she's fighting without that helmet drives me nuts.
Well, no, remember the helmet was on the planet on Sato still.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Hera took it, obviously.
Yeah, you're all right. Her face was rarely covered in Rebels, but I'm also go with the fact that When she went to fight, though, she did put it on.
Every time she fought, she put that thing on.
Yeah, she did put the helmet on when she fought.
But I was gonna say here's that, and then her still tried sidetracking what with Ezra, not telling him exactly what happens. A little funny.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I did think also that was funny because I think they were closer in the Rebels, and they seem to be here. I know they haven't seen each other in a while, but he's clearly chill. He's clearly fine. I don't know what the big deal is. Like, maybe I'm not her, so like for her, it's scary. But you could have just said, I wanted to come find you. I found one way that I could find you. I don't know if there's anywhere else. So I took a one-way ticket here to come find you and
Gambled everything on this moment.
and gambled on everything. You could say that and let him know what's happening because I would think that he's going to be mad that you gave Thrawn the ability to go back, kind of, but you didn't do it. Like you tried to stop it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
As far as he knows.
And like work out a plan together in advance.
If at the last second she tells him, "Oh yeah, we really should stop Thrawn from coming back," and you didn't really give him time to help with the plan or anything, that'd be
it's a weird one. I wonder what that's going to lead to for finale, like how they're going to work that out because it's going to be interesting.
But I did enjoy it. Like I enjoyed them having a little moment. I was annoyed. I'm not going to lie when they said, "Oh, so he was going through it." Like, where's so and so? What's happening with here? Oh, they were defeated. Yeah, and he's out training people, and Hera's out, running the show. And oh, the Emperor died. Oh, he's dead. Well, some people say he's dead. Man, it was so quick when it was like,
real that one fast. But I do like the and then the thing that annoyed me. Zeb's training soldiers and pilots or soldiers or whatever. It's like, yeah, awesome. Where is he? Where's Zeb?
Yeah.
Where is he at? He should be at this point with Hera. He should be with Hera at this point.
Yeah, he should at least showed up. Like Chopper showed up. He should at least showed up at the hearing and was like there to support her. And it said he's at a bar. He's at some kind of dive bar on some planet.
It's funny to me because Carson was talking to Zeb and seemed like had a decent relationship with him already. So you would have contacted Zeb and said, "Hey, 100%. Your best friend is currently about to be court-martialed. Get you ass to Coruscant."
Here's the thing, though. What they would tell you, I was about to say this exact thing. The reason why he's not there is exactly what she just said.
Well, that's why I was like, if he were to show up anywhere, that court-martial scene where they could show him in the seats next to Carson and Zeb and Chopper, cut away and just have him in the background, like the lower resolution JPEG, and then have him talk to Hera for a minute, and that's it. Yeah.
I think you didn't need much. I think what would have made more sense to me is when Chopper started throwing a fit because he said just a droid.
Or hey, maybe he couldn't be there in person. Just have a hologram of him, like how they have holograms of people watching stuff all the time, being in meetings. You had him
sitting next to Chopper and him putting the hand up, like, "Hey, relax, there, soldier. Like, you're not going to do anybody any favors." And that would have made more sense because Chopper might have listened to him. I don't know how they're listening. As much as I love that character, why was he listening to this guy? Like, as much as I like that character. So they hung out. She told him, kind of caught him up. He kind of caught her up, and that was kind of it, right? They didn't really go anything too in depth.
No, they didn't, because she didn't want to obviously bring up a lot of stuff.
Can I ask a question?
And then they get ambushed. Huh?
Everyone's meeting up. Everyone's had an issue. Hera's son is like, "Oh, I want to be a Jedi." Everyone's talking. They just met up again. Okay. The wound wasn't that old when his basically father figure died. And we yet to mention this man's name yet. And we're not like, what are we doing? Yeah. Like
he was mentioned once by name.
Well, yeah, he said, well, you did a little bit with that. But like, we're not having any kind of emotional, like, I wish Kanan was here to help. No, it was just,
I think maybe Ezra will say it the next episode.
Yeah. Well,
you know what's going to be funny to me? I wonder if after this is all said and done, the visual dictionary, because they have that picture of him on the dashboard, they're going to do obviously a higher res image. We'll see it. I wonder if it is Freddie Prinze Jr. just in the costume.
Better not. It'd be funny though. Like, and it makes sense that it would be, but
we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. He's not mentioned much, but I think we'll get mention of him later.
All right. So Balin and Shin or whatever,
he has a great line to her. Really enjoyed it.
So they're sitting there hanging out, and they're like, "You need to go down there and handle your business, and I'm gonna go do my way. Our paths are going separately. So you go and follow your ambitions and
Mhm.
everything into the new empire that will happen.
And
And
then his
my path's
quotes.
going a different way." Which I was shocked. Like I was thinking there was gonna be, and they still could be now after what happens in a little while, but I was shocked. I thought they were definitely gonna have a turn moment, and he was just like, no, like, listen, I'm not about that life anymore. I got something bigger going on. You clearly are super ambitious and you got that fire in your eyes. And so it's something that you need to go on and see it through and go make something
Yeah.
of yourself. Get in there and make it happen, number 55. Make me proud. Kind of a moment.
Yeah. And
Um,
he says to her basically, remember to like calm yourself and don't rush for victory. And say if you're gonna like you're gonna lose, reel yourself back. Right?
yeah.
Don't be impatient.
So and while this is going on, we do see a little bit of Thrawn who keeps an eye on
I
Ahsoka.
loved I loved his chessboard. He
Yeah,
had
he had a little real-time chessboard. We kind of did forget a point. So when they pinpointed where she was, because she was hiding in the bones of the whales.
oh yeah, so
Um,
that was great. When they use the triangulation of the Queen Mothers, he triangulates where it is. He asks Enoch to provide essentially aerial bombardment from the star from the
ring thing.
hyperspace ring, and that was great seeing them just bombard them in there. And
Of
then
course, they missed every shot, so it's still strange, but they knew
absolutely, well, I
exactly
mean,
where she was.
how exactly is that pinpoint going to be? Right, that looks a pretty well a mile radius.
um, and so they kind of chased her off, and then she said, "Hey, Jesus, also known as Joy, take the wheel. I need to jump out here and make it, and go make something of myself." And so she jumps out, does a Jedi roll, and slides right at the feet, Balin, and
Yes,
then
he's on the animal. Like, whoa, wasn't expecting that.
yeah, it's cute. That's a good role you got there. So
Yeah,
they get out and start fighting. I'm sure there's a lot of questions, and I know there's some people who probably will be weirded out by the fact they started fighting, and he doesn't seem to be too impressed. Like honestly, he didn't seem like he was struggling, and I was kind of surprised by that. I thought there was going to be a lot more her kind of overwhelming him a little bit, and he even says at one point as he grabs her wrist while she's fighting and says, "You can't beat me."
I
And then
love
she's
that. That was a quick. That caught me off guard. Just the grabbing him.
yeah, it was. I was not expecting that. I really wasn't. And then she was like, "Yeah, maybe." And then she has her friend bombard the area so she can get away, which I thought was interesting because it's like,
Yeah,
and I think that's what they're talking about with Ahsoka now. Like it is old Ahsoka just a few episodes ago would have fought that guy and kept going, and now she's like, "This is not my goal. My goal was to get over here and save these two.
yes.
So I'm just get away from you, and I'm gonna go run over here and save those two, which is good. That's good.
God, I will say, when she got on that beast and ran off, that looked goofy as hell.
Yeah,
That budget dropped in those ones right there.
they're saving up for the purple beast. I gotta save my
I
money.
got budget cut here. So the yeah,
They're
and
gonna bring
then
him out for the fourth episode. I gotta save my money.
uh, and I got two other important things here to really talk about. One, fight begins, and Ezra chooses not to use his lightsaber, his old lightsaber,
Yeah, I know.
and use the Force. Which, again, I personally, my thinking, he was trying to showboat a little to Sabine, going, "Listen, I'm still here." And then they're also, I feel like they're just saving that moment
I
for
will
the finale,
I will
which
buy the
does.
moment saving, but
I obviously you're a bigger Rebels fan than I was, and I can't really think I remember offhand
well,
music.
he was a showboater. Like, no, you
Oh
nailed
yeah,
it. Yeah,
but did he have his own like theme song that was like prevalent? I don't
oh, I
remember there
don't
being like for
remember.
him a certain theme
That
that
was
comes to
back
mind.
before I would like really look into that kind of stuff. I remember theme songs and like
Because I don't
no,
remember
I
hearing
don't
any like
remember.
specific musical motifs kick in when he was fighting,
I don't
or
remember. I feel like back then it was a little bit less of a budget with music, so it might have just been the actual Rebels theme that would kick
just
in
the
every
Rebels
time.
theme. Yeah,
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
yeah,
Um, so logically, this makes zero sense. You have a Mandalorian who is ready to go with pistols and everything, and he is a pretty awesome wielder of the lightsaber, being taught by several different people, including for a second Darth Maul. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't need that." So if you're gonna go with he's still being a little boast, want to show off in front of the lady, okay, maybe, but you would thought this would have been humbling him. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe he wanted to see what she had, how far she was in her training, possibly. But I will say this: I was okay with the fight scene. Everything in this series has moved slow motion to me. It's weird. Like no one's moving fast. I don't know why. I get it with Sabine, but I was watching something and they were showing a clip. It was like a quick clip, like one of those shorts, like 30 seconds. And they were showing that and they were comparing it to live action, but I don't remember who the live action was, but it was like the prequels or whatever.
Probably the first movie. Yeah.
And it was 4 times faster. And I get those are masters, supposing these aren't, but they need to be faster. Like it's pretty slow. Like it still kind of looks to me like it's 1 and 2
Well,
and
you
3.
compare it to the Ahsoka and Balin fights, and they're much faster.
Yeah, but even then, they're masters. They should be. It should be like Anakin and Kenobi moving around. That's almost comically fast. Like it should be something like that. And it just seems like it's a little bit slow to me. It's fine, but it feels like everyone is like knee deep in mud and swinging great swords because they're moving so slow. So he did his thing, and I was okay with it. Like I was like, that's pretty cool. He's blocking stuff. Now we've seen it before. Kylo Ren can do it. Everyone else can do it. So I don't know how special it is if Kylo Ren and everyone else can do it. Although he does have the bloodline where she should be able to do it. So it was still cool. But then, and you said, we talked about it before the show. You said, well, she took him off guard. I was okay with all of it until she threw his ass against that thing and cussed him against the trailer house. You know, that was my people, by the way. I saw all the trailer houses. And I felt right at home. That was amazing. And when she threw him against that thing and he was like not able to combat that was a little bit, it's a little bit weird for me. Like I think he should have been a little bit stronger at it than that. He hadn't touched a lightsaber in 10 years. Maybe he had the Obi-Wan style rust to dust off. We're not going to talk about Obi-Wan's rust. Obi-Wan does not ever have rust.
I mean, he has the ginger, right? So the rust is there. But no, yeah, I think again he was that same idea. He boasting. So they're saving it for the finale, and a bit of that too. Like he's confident, obviously. And I like the idea you mentioned. Even think about we maybe wanted to just get a feel for how Sabine has been doing with it, and if she's been good or not with it. And obviously, she went straight into using her blasters. And she only ever pulled the lightsaber as a last resort. She never used it initially. So
and even then, it was after he had already kind of held her up with the Force, and then she kind of came in to try to do a little backdoor bushwhacking. By the way, like that's not very Jedi.
That was hilarious. She runs in, he just ducks underneath. He goes, "You burnt my hair."
Yeah, Voodoo Lily liked that part too, where he burnt her hair. And he was like, "Oh, you almost got it done right there." Like,
so
and that part is whenever I'll release some of the hate inside that is boiling, and I'll release a little bit of it because he did do that. He did kind of joke around. I was like, "Oh, you almost got it. Like you just got a little bit off the side there, but you almost pulled it off." Like that's
very Ezra
Rebels thing. Yeah, that was
yeah. And then the Night Troopers come in, and they are not undead. I don't care what you say. They're 100% just people.
Sure, they were. I said it was a theory that I thought they could be.
Yes, but I said they're real. Like, no, they could still be. And I'm like, no.
I still think they could be undead. I still think they could be. We don't know.
They're 100% just regular dudes in those trooper costumes.
I would say this before we saw that though, back to his amazing chessboard that I want now for Christmas, he noticed that old Balin was not there.
He's like, we're short one mercenary.
Yeah, and he noticed Balin wasn't there. He wasn't happy about it. That kind of put a little bit of.
I do like the fact that when he realized that, and he looked at the board again, he's like, "We're not going to win this. We're not going to win anymore." So. He's like, he looks at the time, he looks at his clock, he's like, all right, now is a good time.
Yeah. And so he just tells everybody, get back on the ship. There's no point just sacrificing these few soldiers I have. And just get back on the ship, which is weird because that's very un-Empire, right? Empire just says,
no, they'd be like, no, let them keep fighting until they die. They'll postpone even more time.
Yeah. So he had them come back in. And but
again, I was confused. She's not getting on the transport. So I don't know. I think she might be going for Balin opposed to back to the thing. Because if she went back, she was watching them load the transport, and she had enough time to go to the transport with them.
Well, let's not forget that Jedi Mind Trick was trying to pull, and our girl Ahsoka put her hand down and said, "Listen, I can help you." And there was a hesitation there. And I think that's what bothered her. I think that's what she's like, wait a minute, now I'm confused because these guys are bailing on me. They're not saying, hey, jump on. They were going to run out. I could get on there if I want to, but they weren't really calling out to me. My master took off, went the other direction, chasing ghosts. And now this awesome, really famous Jedi master, well, obviously not a Jedi 100%, but is now going, hey, you want to come out, and like pulled on the heartstrings a little bit. So I think she probably just ran off super confused at what she needs to do. Like, I think that's probably what it is on that one too. So,
but I want to bring us. No, I think that's and then Ahsoka unites with Ezra and such, which not as heartwarming, I'd say, as the Ezra Sabine, which makes sense.
Yeah,
and but there is the last thing I would say I want to bring up is now the fact there's no Star Whales at the moment. Thrawn's like, oh, we're good now. We're like, we can jump.
Yeah, 100%. That was not going to work. Like Ahsoka was going to put an end to all that. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to leave. So I don't think they're going to make it to the hyperspace ring on time. So they're probably going to have to go find Baylan and whatever he's doing. Whatever Baylan's doing, there's probably something there that will be able to let them escape.
No, I refuse. Unless they're going to be able to do it in that episode, I refuse. Because we know this.
I think, well, I do. I have a mindset where they might actually not leave. They might end up having that's the cliffhanger, and it either saved for the movie or the
Yes, I know, but this guy's not with us anymore, and I want him to like go off, and we don't know what happens to the character, and we'll retouch it up in a comic book or a cartoon, because he's such a good character, and I don't want it to be like if he was alive, I'd be like, oh my god, give me the entire series on what his travel is.
I'm currently getting to the point where I'm thinking his character was originally going to die at the end of the series, anyways. I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking that's what his fate was going to be.
If he hadn't died, though, and they see how the fandom is loving this guy, they would have rewrote the last episode. I'm gonna tell you right
Probably,
now.
yeah. Because I'm thinking maybe he died. Like his goal involves him dying to achieve this whole new thing.
I mean, we killed off Darth Maul like 17 times, and the fan base does not want him to die. And there's, he might even come back again for all I know. Like he's everywhere. But yeah. So here's questions I have, just like future questions. Thrawn is the
predictions for the finale, or is it just future questions?
Just like overall, just questions I have, the questions that don't make sense to me, and I don't think it's because Star Wars, or maybe it is Star Wars not telling a good story.
I'd be able to 100% answer these with honest truth, and there will be no.
So here's a couple of my questions. What's up with Ezra and Thrawn? Because there's no way that Thrawn didn't know where Ezra was, because it took her 13 seconds to find him. It didn't even take her
he knew. He knew where he was, obviously.
But why didn't
he didn't care? He just didn't care because he's not a problem to him.
Okay, so they need to explain it to me. They need to explain that, because Ezra is a problem. Ezra that got him here, he always underestimated Ezra, and it cost him everything. I just don't think that he would say, as long as he's over there and I stay over here, we're good. Like, I just don't see that. Tell me that he killed off half of his stormtroopers and he said it's not worth the hassle. Like, give me something to explain to me why Thrawn was kind of acting like, well, I don't know where he is, but we'll kind of tell you. And she found him in 13. It's like, okay,
I feel like maybe he ran off and they kept tabs on him and they found him just hanging with the.
Do you think there's any way that they're in on it together?
No.
Ezra and Thrawn, and he's working.
No way. Not a single second.
No, I don't believe so. But of course, that's out there. Of course, because YouTube, they're going for any kind of click they can go for. But I'm just saying, like, that's out there, because to me, it doesn't make any sense. Because why would he be not just getting on the ship and flying away? Like, he doesn't need to like be dragging this thing out. But it does seem weird. Like, that's the question I would like for them to explain to me. Like, why did you allow him to stay over there with the turtle people?
My question for you is Captain Enoch Snoke?
Captain Enoch is the head of the Death Squad, also known as Zombie Squad. I'm just going to put that out there.
So funny. But yeah, so
yes. My question would be that. My question would also be like, what's up with the troopers? Give me something. Don't just say that they're like, maybe because Ezra ran through them so much and terrify them, and because like, why are they so loyal to Thrawn? Like, Thrawn is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he's an awesome character, but they are like overly loyal to Thrawn. Like, something had to happen to make them that loyal to Thrawn.
Probably also the fact that they want to, like, he's the only way to get them home. He promised them stuff. Yeah, that's going to be that's 100% they're doing that Black Series helmet. They're not. There's no way they go.
Only somebody like Lily can afford that, because it's going to be made in gold, and she's going to be the only one that can afford it. famous people like that, because only people can afford it.
It was funny. As soon as that episode came out, by the way, there were people already online creating STL files to 3D print your own helmets of him. Like people already doing their own versions.
Of course they are.
It was instantly.
Yeah,
no,
so
I think I think it's gonna be. Yeah.
Would be if this wasn't the ultimo or whatever they call that. If it wasn't that, if it wasn't the second to last episode, it would be a fine episode. You need kind of, you've had like these rocket ships, and you kind of do.
Yeah, you had episode 4, which was fantastic. And then 5 with Anakin coming in, great. 6 with Thrawn showing up. Everything just keeps compounding. And this one doesn't take a dive like some of the other series you talk about where it just drops off entirely. It just peters down enough.
You need a breath. But that means the next episode better be amazing. Do we know how long it's going to be?
I didn't see if there was a runtime or not for it. There'll probably be one this weekend if it's not announced.
It needs to at least be an hour. If it's not, like, it needs to be a pretty long.
Hey, knowing my luck, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Voodoo Lily, as a temporary third member of this here crew, what did you give it out of 10? Like, I'd like to hear what you gave, or anybody else who's watching. What did you give it out of 10? Or in the comment section, if you're watching this on YouTube, would you give it out of 10? But yeah, like, I think that's pretty much it. It was a very Rebels episode. Temporary. You could be a full-time. We just never our third member is he's not responding to messages, so we're just hoping for the best. If you're
he's currently on his sabbatical, basically.
If you're watching this, good Chong, just give me a thumbs up on the in the old Instagrams there.
Apparently it's supposed to be 50. Apparently it's supposed to be 50 minutes long.
That's not long enough. No,
so probably about 45 minutes, I feel. Which
that's definitely not long enough for everything that needs to be wrapped up, in my opinion.
Hey, again,
Cliffhanger's coming. They're gonna be sitting on the planet.
A cliffhanger sometime.
What?
It might be either we see Thrawn leave and we don't see him arrive anywhere. It just disappears. We don't know if he makes it to where he goes. Maybe they'll when the movie comes out, like you getting mad about Thrawn coming back, they'll be like, "Oh, we're having a Thrawn. He died in transit. They crashed into an asteroid. They didn't have the coordinates correct. They just died."
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. Also, obviously, I think that it's great. It was good. But it seemed like a weird episode for being the second to last, and that's why I wonder if it.
I mean, we're
gonna find out later they were supposed to make it a 10 episode thing, and they just
we definitely talked more
a lot right now. They're going through a lot of financial stuff, and so maybe they were just like, "Hey, could you make this maybe a few less episodes or something?" Yeah, and it would kind of explain why there's some things feel like it's been kind of cut off. I feel like Ezra thing, that's weird. Have you ever seen a show where the whole point is to find this hero that is like Ezra, and they find it the first day they're looking for him? It's usually like like you were talking about it. It might be like the
losing all hope, and they find him at the end.
Yeah, they finally found him. Like he comes to save the day as they're about to lose a war or something, and instead he's just there hanging out at the beach, like hanging out with his friends. It seemed kind of weird. That's why I was wondering maybe it was supposed to be a little bit longer of episodes, and they had to tighten it up a bit for purposes. All right, I think that's it. I think that is Ahsoka review and discussion. Obviously, we always go about twice as long as the actual episode is. So that fits.